Welcome, Karen Hardy! You look positively vampish tonight. I love your outfit.
Fabulous.
Judges were so tough this weekend. It's quite exciting when it gets like this. Are they right to be at this stage in the competition?
Yes, we went from a plethora of 10s last week to a real nails in the coffin. It's all about the technique. I think for a very simple reason. To create effect, to get the wow factor, you can do that quite easy. But actually to master the technical skills, I mean, that's really what this dancing competition is about. And that's what we've been talking about here on It Takes Two every Tuesday. Now those techniques, and that's what's come up this week.
I know. What should we be expecting from our celebrities at this stage?
Well, what we want to see is all those technical efforts that they applied way back all those weeks ago, mastering hip actions, rise and fall, swings and sways that go across the dances. We really want to see that coming into play now. Body contact, top lines, heads up, eye contact, all those difficult, challenging things. We really want to see who's mastered them and who's just gone for the wow factor with gimmicks.
OK, you see, and that's why the judges, they picked up on a lot of that stuff this weekend. We have much to discuss, so let's get cracking with Ashley and Ola and their waltz, which was brilliant and a great score. But Craig was so cross, he's driving him mad with his head. What's wrong with his head?
Well, here we go straight away. Look how nitpicky these judges are getting. We're talking millimetres out with his head. Very simple. He got it right for 2 weeks running, comes to the third week and it's slightly going wrong again. We don't want to see that, but it just goes to show that when you're up in your game and you're trying to improve other things, those demons come back and haunt you. So he's got to stay focused. That top line in his head position is pivotal to what the judges are looking for him to maintain throughout this competition.
Susanna and Kevin and their cha-cha-cha. Huge difference to their Blackpool performance and quite harsh comments for Susanna here. Did it disappoint you? What did you make of her cha-cha-cha?
I think when we have our front runners, there's always a dance that's going to be their nemesis. And I think this was Susanna's. I have to say, not my cup of tea. We can look here. This is meant to even be a lock step. We didn't even get the lock in. Knees were bent throughout. But there is one thing that took over it all. And I'm probably the worst person to ever point this out, especially as you go by my opening clips on this show. The facial expressions are slightly taking over. Dare I say that, of all people? However, but what's happening? Over-enthusiasm, you know, where you know you're not secure down below with these technical strength of straight legs and hip actions, it's been taken over by facial expressions now.
Rein it in. She'll be fine.
Yes.
OK. Natalie and Artem in their tango. Stunning tango, but Craig said he wasn't impressed with her left hand. He was very cross. What was wrong with it? Talk us through.
Really simple. When that hand goes under the man's hand, there's two changes. One for the man in the top line and one for the lady. So the hand of the lady goes from above in that indent that we talked about previously, and it goes under the armpit area there.
Yeah.
But what we don't want, which was actually immediately apparent, and again I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm sounding like Craig here, but it was as soon as her dancing is so good that the little errors now are being highlighted. So literally from that to that, stuck out like a sore thumb. But looking at this contra check, what was also picked up on was her head position, which these are things, again, we don't want to see. As she goes into what we call promenade, you see how the head drops down?
Yeah, needs to be up.
That's right. So again, they're nitpicking, but these are things that they should be doing every day. These are your basic training elements that you should be mastering. So you wouldn't want to see someone like Natalie that's turning into promenade and landing there. When you do the strong flick,
straight up.
Excuse
hair
me,
in
just
the lip
readdressing
gloss.
the hair.
I know.
It should finish with the chin up.
OK, chin always up. Abby and Aliash and their Paso Doble. Now, a much lower score for them this week. What did you make of their Paso Doble?
Well, do you know what I made of it? I turned it off completely, turned the music off, and it actually looked to me more like an American smooth.
Really? Why?
So the overall content, you look here, it's gentle, it's soft, it's graceful, it's elegant. Now, what we've got to be careful with now, you know, we have sensational professionals on this show. Their excellence of their artistry is incredible, but they've got to remember they have to appeal to everybody. So you need to be putting across the obvious elements. So Paso Doble, strength, dynamics. You want the woman, she should have a very strong opinion to the man in the Paso Doble, whereas in a waltz, she's more submissive. So strong character, strong technical elements. And I think with this dance, as beautiful as it was, it missed the general overall look of a Paso Doble.
OK. Patrick and Anya and their Viennese waltz. Now, both Len and Bruno criticised the ending, all the little flurries at the end. What did you make of all that?
Well, this is bizarre. You know, we're getting our professionals, they're taking gambles, and I love that. Now, Artem, if we look back at his Viennese waltz, do you remember they took a gamble, putting hardly any Viennese waltz in it. This was packed with the great natural turns, the reverse turns. It was full. And then at the end, as the music built up, rightly so, the piece of choreography she put in there was a really dynamic turn and a whoosh and a pull and a drag. The problem was Patrick wasn't actually involved in it at all.
Right.
So it looked over-dramatised. It looked as though Anya was making up for Patrick. I think the choreography content was perfect. I think the gamble was correct, but you actually needed much more input. You needed to see Patrick really involved with the movement rather than Anya looking like she was trying to do it herself. And I think that's what disjointed the end of it.
OK, apart from that, brilliant. Sophie and Brendan and their rumba. Now, poor Brendan, he's becoming increasingly frustrated with the judges. Wasn't happy at all on Saturday. How would you have judged his rumba? Was it cold to you or did you love it?
Oh, gosh, do you know what? I actually loved it. And I really want to get across here how skillful our professionals are. But, again, if we look at something like that where Sophie's gone into the lunge, I understand where Brendan's coming from. He wanted that more sophisticated, more beautiful rumba, let's say. But you've got to try to appeal to the masses. Now, if you listen to Bruno, he loves those undulating hip actions and drumming, and he's always said that. So what you would have wanted to have done is put a little bit of spice in it for Bruno, a little bit of spice in it for Len, you know, and something like that lunge. You needed that real wow into that lunge. She needed to go right down onto that floor, come back up, and then get back into that lovely intimacy that they had. I think it was intelligence versus let's just deliver a beautiful rumba, and I think there was a mix-up of styling,
This is a good point, though. They need to appeal to all the judges now, don't they? Because they'll make their marks higher. Everyone will be happy. OK, Mark and Iveta and their foxtrot. Now, Craig didn't hold back what he thought was missing. He said he needed more flow, there was no movement, there was no swing, no sway. Did it work for you? Did you agree on any of those points?
Well, do you know what? When it came down to the bottom two, it's really the choreography. You get it right and it might just win you ahead of the game. Technically, no, Mark is not strong out there, and in the long run probably Ben will be much stronger in his improvement, but the skill of the choreography of throwaway oversways, very effective like we got here. The running around, the big arm extensions, you know, but then when it comes to the movement across the dance floor, you can see that the technique's not in there. So Craig was right to pick up on all the technical elements, but at the end of the day, it was quite interesting how something, the little wow effect, getting the choreography just right, really just pipped him at the post. The difference between the two of them was not a lot. And what else was interesting, they both made mistakes, grave mistakes. And what the judges have often said, well, I think the one who has potential, and I think it could have gone a completely different way, but what they chose to do, they judged on the day what they saw. So a warning to everybody, get the mistakes ironed out, be clear, do not deliver any mistakes, or you could be in a situation like we just saw.
I love that. It was quite intense. Everybody, Karen Hardy!